Hey, what's good, everybody? I'm just doing this video real quick. I don't think it's gonna be quick because it's gonna. I wanted you guys to hear what I was just listening to. Doctor by the name of Dr. Umar Johnson. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him, but we should look him up and shed some light on what he's doing. I wanted you guys to hear an interview that he just did recently, and I'm just gonna let the interview play and let y'all hear it. It's very insightful. If you got the time to listen, cool. If you don't, I get it. I understand. But this is something to really, really think about based on what this man is talking about. So I'm going to let this play. I'm already prepared what's necessary in order for it to do so. And yeah, let's get this popping because this is very insightful, very resourceful. All right, here we go.
Absolutely. Peace and black power. Glad to be back, brothers.
What's this? It's the fourth time? Five. Okay, number
This is
five. Number
yes,
five.
sir.
You know, Dr. Umar, you become one of the internet's favorite people to me, man. I love it personally. I love it. What do you think of it?
I don't know. On one hand, I appreciate the circulation of the message. On the other hand, I think sometimes they go too far to where they're trivializing a very serious message.
Talk to me.
You know, so I don't want people to lose the centrality and the importance of my main message, which is the liberation of our people.
Absolutely.
And coming from a school psychologist perspective, the need for us to make sure we're saving our boys from that school to prison pipeline.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes that can get lost in all of the humor. So I'm not against it, but I wish it was a little bit more balance to it. But at the same time, I can't complain because it has helped bring a lot more people to the message, and it has helped me save a lot more parents.
Absolutely. How has the pandemic affected you just overall?
When the pandemic hit, I had just began a national Black parent boot camp training tour. So what we do is I go to every state and I do a 12-hour seminar. So this is from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. That's why we call it a boot camp. And in those 12 hours, I teach Black parents everything they need to know in order to protect their child. So each of those 12 hours is spent on a different topic.
Hello? Hey. Yes.
Okay, so no, just want to give you an update. If nothing's wrong, she's okay.
Okay.
So after I got her in here to clean her up, she just what it was is a lot of phlegm.
Oh, okay. She probably see when Skylar be coughing sometimes. When she coughs, she'll sniff, and then like it'll choke her up, like cause it's going back down in her throat. And I've been trying to tell her not to do that, but of course that's her body, so I'm trying to. But yeah, she probably got choked and threw up. Huh? You think that's what it was?
I knew it was a lot of phlegm, so I went and talked to Miss Moore. I got her cleaned up, had her blow her nose,
Yeah.
in her bag. She went outside, played on the swing.
Oh, awesome.
And I told Miss Moore, and Miss Moore was okay with that. I said, Dad, sit down. He's to check with us. He can see you. So I think she.
Y'all forgive me. I just got a little phone call about my daughter. She kind of got sick to the stomach in school, but we're gonna get back to this. I think she okay. Uh, let's get back to this. 1 second, y'all. Here we go. Let's get it. All right, so let me tell y'all basically what's going on from the initial part. Let me see. Shanta, thank you for being here, sweetheart. I'm gonna tell you who Mr. Umar Johnson is. Dr. Umar Johnson is somebody that is he's a scholastic achiever as a Black man. This man has 6 degrees from 3 different universities. He's been trying to build a school that is focused on Black children. And he's going to talk about the disadvantages that he's having to endure by not getting the support he needs from other Black people. So I want him to continue to play this. If y'all, would just bear with me, like I said, because this is very informative. That's the only reason why I'm even doing this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this started again. And if y'all see me moving or something like that, like I gotta go and run into this place. But you can still listen to the interview, and we'll get back to it. But I'm finna play it, and here we go.
So we just did one last weekend in Boston. So we're going over all the disabilities, the IEP, how to conduct yourself at a meeting, autism, how to write the letters, how to deal with behavior, how to review the psychological evaluation, how to review the IEP. And so I give them everything that I think a parent needs to know to effectively advocate for their child in the school meeting. And when the pandemic hit, we had just finished the California training in Long Beach, and then we were shut down. And I hadn't done a training since March the 6th of 2020 until I'd done it last Saturday in Boston. Wow. So it's been 13 months.
Wow.
Now, now, last time you were up here, we were talking about your school and the school that you're over.
FDMG Academy.
Yeah.
The Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. It's a bittersweet report, brothers, because let me make it real simple so y'all can understand this. We have two schools, right? They look across the street at one another. The Marcus Garvey building.
I want to say this. This is a black man talking about having two schools. A black man now, and no, nothing against you, Shanta, but it's black people that don't know who this man is. We not celebrating our leaders, our black leaders in our communities and just in the United States right now. Martin Luther King was one of them. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm X, and here we got somebody that's living, a Dr. Umar Johnson. We're going to have to start starting to support people like this. He's about to talk about his school and the disadvantages that he's having to endure, trying to get everything popping, with what the resources that he has. So let's continue.
Building is the elementary school, and the Frederick Douglass building is much larger. It's the high school. Now, we're focusing on the Garvey building right now, right? If you were to say, how soon can that building be ready? It can be ready in 3 weeks. We only have 3 weeks worth of repairs, 3 weeks worth of HVAC, 3 weeks worth of electric, 3 weeks worth of plumbing. So if, hypothetically speaking, if a black tradesman, a black HVACer said, I'm going to come volunteer, I'm going to fix the system, you have to pay for all of the materials, but I'm going to donate my time. If an electrician, if a plumber said, we're going to donate our time to fix the system, but you have to pay for all the material, the school would be up and running in 3 weeks. That's all we have.
You know what he's talking about? And I totally agree with what he's saying. Basically, what he's saying is almost like, I don't know if you guys live amongst Mexicans or whatever, but have you ever seen Mexicans at one house? They get a case of beer, they, pull their trucks up, be playing in a boy, they be sitting out there, they'll build a whole house within a matter of 3 weeks. And it ain't nothing but brothers, uncles, cousins, and stuff that I got the skill to actually do it. And they build their houses. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's talking about. Like, we don't have the skills as black people to do stuff like that, to where we don't have to depend on the system. So that's what he's talking about right now, just in case you were trying to figure out what he's talking about. So I'm gonna let him finish speaking.
Oh, we have. The problem is, Charlemagne and Envy, is I haven't come across black folks who are willing to donate their time. That's one. So we have to raise enough money to pay market rate for those repairs. So the HVAC, the bills that I'm getting are ranging from $250 on up. The plumbing, the bills I'm getting are ranging from like $150 on up. You see, so we have to raise about $300,000 just to handle that. Where if we had some black folk who was willing to donate their time, the school would be up and running in 3 weeks.
I wonder if they change their perspective of how they look at this, right? Like, you bought the building, but I would look at it like a startup.
We own it, no more.
Yeah, I would look at it like it's a startup. And this is what
they're in good shape. The schools are, they're modern, they're not old. This was a charter school that was renovated at the tune of $13 million back in 2010. This is 2021. The school is only 10, 11 years old. They are modern. They're in good shape. The only thing we have to do is the plumbing, the electric, and the HVAC. We don't have to do no new construction. It's only repair. And that's why it's so frustrating for me, because it's only 3 weeks worth of repairs, not a month, not a year, 3 weeks.
3 weeks
worth of repairs.
If he had the support,
if I were Mexican, the school be done. If I were Chinese, the school be done. If I was East Indian, if I was Arab, if I was European Jew, if I was Italian, the school be done. It's only because it's us that we don't take something like this as serious.
So it's like raising money in another round for a startup company.
Raising the money in another round for like a startup.
Well, tell them what he said, donations.
Well, the donation should go to cash.me/FDMG school. So if you're on the Cash app, it's $FDMG school. If you're PayPal, it's paypal.me/FDMG Academy.
Okay.
So Cash app is FDMG school, PayPal is FDMG Academy. They can also mail check a money order, and that information is on my website at drumarjohnson.com. They can also join the Loyal Donors Club. So that's an automatic contribution every month. $50 a month bronze, $100 a month silver, $250 is gold, $500 is platinum, and $1,000 a month is diamond.
Gotcha.
Why do you think that, you said if you were Mexican or if you were Asian, why do you think that Black people don't want to support or is not supporting, or do you feel that, you're not getting the support that you should be getting?
Now, here's the point, and that's a great question, Envy. It's not that Black people don't support other Black people. We are not used to being responsible for building our own institutions. Are you following me? If I was opening up a nightclub.
Do you hear that? This man is talking some real, y'all. Do you hear me? Like, we don't have no Black infrastructure, you know what I'm saying, like a lot of these, other races and stuff do. We don't have that infrastructure like that. And it's time for us to have that for our own children. He finna get into some real stuff, y'all. That's the only reason why I'm doing this, because he's talking some real stuff that we need to hear. I done sat back and I had to listen to it, and I wanted to share it with you guys. All right, so I'm finna do something real quick, but y'all please continue to listen if you got the time. Just continue to listen. 1 second here. He finna get into some real stuff.
Club, some sort of a basketball league, I would have the support. But we are not accustomed to being responsible for building our own institutions. So, for example, if you look around America, can you show me a single independent Black community in 50 states?
I'll be right back.
50 states, you can't show me one Black community where we own the hospital, the bank, the school, and the supermarket. And the reason I point out those 4 institutions, Envy, is because you need the supermarket to feed the people, the school to teach the people, the hospital to save the people, and the bank to invest in the people. So those are the 4 essential institutions of an independent community. You don't have those 4 in any Black town anywhere in the United States, and we are a $2 trillion people. How do you explain that? And I would say slavery, one of the psychological residuals of slavery, it took from us that natural desire to want to control your environment and your destiny. If you notice, when ethnic nationals come to America, the first thing they do is look for, where are we going to build our first community? That's the first thing, because it is natural to want to control your environment. It is natural to guarantee your children their future. Black people don't do that. When we wake up, the first thing we think about is, what can I buy to make myself look more important than other Black people? You see, so our whole orientation towards life is different from other groups as a result of slavery.
What would you say to people in Atlanta who be like, well, we are a Black city?
Okay, but if you look closely at the statistics in Atlanta, and I just came back from Atlanta, and I'll be there again for Juneteenth, and shout out to South Fulton Councilman Mark Baker, who brought me down to speak at the Unity Day last weekend. When you look at the statistics, though, in Atlanta, when you look at the homelessness, and when you look at the high school completion rate for Black boys, and when you look at the property ownership, I do not see this Black Mecca propaganda proof that people are talking about. Don't get me wrong, Atlanta is progressive and it is doing better than a lot of other cities for Black people, but I'm still seeing those same core issues that 5-headed demon or that 5-headed dragon has brought to the Black community. When I talk about the 5-headed dragon, I'm talking about the miseducation, the economic castration, the mass incarceration, the gentrification, and the access to wealth. Atlanta still has all those problems, and the numbers are not low, not to mention the extremely high Black male HIV/AIDS rate, which in Atlanta is higher than it is for many second and third world nations around the world.
Do you think the pandemic truly exposed the issues of public schools in the Black and brown community?
I think the pandemic exposed how disorganized Black people are.
1 second, y'all. I'm sorry.
how our lack of institutional infrastructure. I think, though, the silver lining was that the pandemic gave Black parents an opportunity to teach their own children. And I think a lot of Black parents learned as a result of that opportunity that they can do this. So I see a lot of parents who are contacting me, Dr. Umar, we need some coaching because as a result of the pandemic, we started homeschooling our children and we're liking our success. So we're not sending them back. We're going to finish this out and we need you to help us out with that. So I like the fact that it gave Black parents an opportunity to show themselves that educating your own child is not as difficult. It's good for the parent to see my child don't have a reading disability.
You
He
know what I
just
mean?
needed to read more.
He just
My
needed to
daughter
read
don't have
more.
a math disability. She just needed to practice her math more. My son don't have 88.
And see, he's about to get into something that's real specific about this whole idea about them keep trying to label our Black children as having ADHD and put medicine in them that they don't even need. They don't even need it, y'all. Like, y'all don't even understand the attack on our children now. So we're gonna continue to play this, and we're gonna continue to play it. Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm gonna play. Yeah, keep this going because this is some real good information.
Or conduct disorder or opposition of defiance. He didn't need Ritalin or Adderall or Concerta or Metadate or Cycler. He just needed a more rigorous disciplinary program. So a lot of parents have been able to disprove the labels that the school has given their children.
Well, what's your biggest issue with the public schools?
My biggest issue with the public schools under the remote learning platform of COVID, I got a couple issues. Issue number one, these schools, while our children are learning at home, are still trying to get them tested for special education.
Listen to him.
Why, if he's at home learning through a computer, of course he's not going to be as motivated.
That's right.
Of course he's not going to do as well because he has to learn through a computer. Children don't learn from computers, they learn from people. If the teacher was boring in the classroom, she's going to be extra boring through the laptop.
That's right.
So there's a process lost there that public schools are not taking into account, Charlemagne. And as a result of that, they're sending parents letters requesting permission to evaluate your child.
To evaluate the baby.
Are you kidding?
No,
I'm telling parents, you don't sign that.
Word.
Because even if you sign it, Charlemagne, they can evaluate. School psychologist, which is what I am, comes back and says he has a reading disability. Okay, how are you going to deliver his special ed services if he's at home? If he can't learn through the computer with the regular teacher,
how you gonna learn
what is
at
your
home?
special ed program going to offer this boy or girl that's going to rectify that? Nothing. Nothing. So the schools are using this as an opportunity to get paid because every time you put a child in special ed, the school gets more money. So this is just a quick hustle. And I'm telling Black parents, hell no. If you want to improve their academics, bring them back into the classroom because guess what? As much as a lot of children do not like going to school, a lot of them are ready to go back now. They've been home too long.
That's right.
And even though some school districts have converted to hybrid where they go to class 2 or 3 days a week, 2 or 3 days at home, a lot of them have not. So I'm hearing from children on the street, Dr. Umar, I'm ready to go back to school. But there's a discrepancy between white suburban public schools and Black inner city public schools. They're showing that amongst the white suburban public and charter schools, 60% of them and greater are back in school. But when you look at the Black inner city hood schools, 40% and lower are back in school. You know why? Because the white teachers aren't as motivated to go back into the school and teach the Black kids, but they don't have a problem going back into the school to teach the white kids. So the white kids are back in the building. The Black kids are still at home. It's racism. And unfortunately, we've talked about this before. The white teachers unions, the American Federation of Teachers and the National Education Association, their job is not to make the teachers accountable to our children. Their job is to make the teacher's job as easy as possible. So as long as the middle class teachers of America can ride out this COVID thing as an excuse to not go back into the classroom and teach the children, they're going to do it. Don't get me wrong. COVID is a concern. I understand that. But guess what? All those white kids learning in the suburban public schools, I'm not hearing about no epidemic of an increase in COVID. I'm not hearing about nobody being carried out on stretchers. I'm not hearing about kids recontaminating other kids. There's been almost no concerns at all. So if it can work for the white kids in the suburbs, why can't it work for the Black kids in the hood?
And mentioned special ed classes and ADD and ADHD. Do you believe those things exist, or do you think it's just a way for teachers to be lazy and this way for school to make more money?
I'm glad you asked that question.
Because as a child, and me being a kid, I don't ever remember hearing cases of ADHD and ADD. I don't remember hearing that, even with like kids talking now about I'm depressed and I'm doing this. I didn't hear that as when I was a teen, but I'm hearing it more now.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one, you don't get ADD till 1980 in the first place. So they dropped off ADD in 1980, and then they revised it and added hyperactivity in 1987. You see, so, it just started coming upon us around that time. So what happened then was once the drug companies started invading the public school, and they started invading the public school by paying for the teacher conferences, making donations to the low-income school districts, you see. Mm-hmm. So now the teachers are getting packets in their mailbox. If the child can't sit still, maybe you should have the parent get him evaluated, you see. So the drug companies have done an excellent job of infiltrating and invading the public school culture to the point now every child knows what ADHD is. Every teacher thinks they can diagnose it. Every parent knows what conduct disorder is. The drug company has succeeded. The drug companies have succeeded in normalizing mental illness in the public schoolhouse. Nobody should be that comfortable throwing around words like ADHD. Nobody should be that comfortable throwing around medical names like Ritalin and Adderall and Concerta and Meditate, but they know what they are because the drug companies have spent so much money making children, parents, and teachers think it's okay to take these drugs, which in many versions are only a molecule or two away from the same crack cocaine that is sending so many black men to prison. So how is it acceptable to give children drugs, but you will lock their father up if you catch them with it? If drugs are no good for adults, they should likely be no good for children. And these drugs come with a lot of very dangerous, irreversible side effects. But the other point to in these questions is this. Most of our kids who are classified with specific learning disabilities, right? That's one category. Now, special ed is 13 categories. Special ed is blindness, hearing impairment, orthopedic impairment, multiple disability, developmental delay, autism, emotional disturbance, intellectual disabilities. There's 13.
You can fail a standardized test and they'll put you in special ed.
Right. But here's the thing. Of the 13 disabilities, 4 of them are the Jim Crow of special ed.
Talk to me.
The learning disability, intellectual disability, emotional disturbance, and other health impairment for ADHD. Most black kids in special ed are in there for that. They're not in there for speech. They're not in there for blindness. They're not in there for hearing problems, orthopedic issues. No. Learning, emotion, intelligence, and behavior. You see, the problem with those 4, Charlemagne and Envy, is they are the most subjective of all 13. In other words, if a child got a speech problem, you can tell. If a child is blind, you can tell. If a child is deaf, you can tell. If a child is emotionally disturbed, are you sure? Or does he just have a relationship problem with one teacher? See, according to the law, for you to classify a kid with an emotional disturbance, he's supposed to have problems building and maintaining relationships with teachers and peers. Teachers with an S, peers with an S. But guess what they do? If a black boy can't get along with one teacher, they'll say he's emotionally disturbed. That's against the law. The law doesn't say you can classify a kid as emotionally disturbed because of one teacher. You're supposed to show a pattern. He can't get along with most of the teachers. He can't get along with most of his peers. But one relationship issue with one teacher, and they'll slap him with an emotional disturbance because the parents don't know the law. And to that point, before I forget.
By the way, they definitely had all that stuff when I was in school. They was definitely trying to put me on Ritalin in elementary.
My new book.
Black Parent Advocate.
Copy for Envy.
Thank you, sir.
Copy for Angie.
Thank you, sir.
Now, this new book here, Black Parent Advocate, follows up on my first book, which y'all had. And this book is broken into 2 sections. The first section gives our parents a whole bunch of sample letters that they can use to give to the school if they're having a problem. So if the school says, we want to test your son for a reading disability, and you don't want that to happen, I have a letter that you can give to school. If the school says your son can't come back unless you put him on medication, I have a letter you can give them for that. If your child is in special ed and they haven't learned anything, although they've been in special ed for 40 and 50 years, I have a letter that you can give them for that. So the first half is letters parents can use to respond. Because most of the time when I'm helping our parents, I have to show them how to respond. The second half of the book teaches them how to understand the different documents that the school gives them. So if Charlemagne gets a psychological evaluation for your daughter, you don't know what this is, but I got a chapter in here that shows you how to understand it. What should be in it? What are the sections? How do you judge it? If DJ Envy gets an IEP for his son, he looks at the IEP. I don't know what this is. Well, guess what I do? I break down the IEP, the different parts, the different components. What should be in it? If Charlemagne asks the school to put together a behavior plan for his son, you don't know what should be in the behavior plan. But guess what? I got it in here. Line for line, word for word. So if you get a report, you can open up this book right next to your child's evaluation and go section for section. What should be in here and how can I evaluate the quality of the work?
So what are your thoughts on
Now, I don't know if you've been listening or how many people have been listening. You might have to end up running back this live. But I played that about Dr. Umar Johnson because to me, he's an embodiment of sophisticated Black strong as well. This man has 6 degrees from 3 universities, 2 schools that he's trying to open up. And really, he has a vision of being able to have Black dominance in a particular area to where we can be dependent upon ourselves and not the system. And I definitely appreciate him and his efforts into making it happen. You know what I'm saying? That's why I wanted to shed light on what he was talking about. He has books, y'all. Like I'm about to start really focusing more on on Dr. Umar Johnson as well myself. I've been watching him, been hearing about him. He's been talking about getting his school built for years. And like he was saying, like we don't have enough resources as Black people to, join hands and help build things, where the financial compensation could be eliminated because of the Black people having the skills in order to invest their time and do it. Spanish people, they do that type of stuff for their kind all the time. All the time. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Oh, all right, y'all. My bad. I had to go. I'm trying to handle something and do this at the same time. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish this so I can handle my business. But I did want to share that with you guys while I had the opportunity. Um, if y'all like that interview, that is on the Breakfast Club. If you get an opportunity to go and listen to it further, please feel free because it's very informative. We need to find brothers like him and even our sisters, what I'm saying, that these strong ladies, we need to find them and we need to learn how to start supporting these people because these are to be the ones that's going to be the forefront for us as a people, for the schools and whatever. Like we need more people that's getting involved and starting this type of stuff because we need to get our children about this system. We need to figure out a way to get our children about this system. I mean, it's not favorable to them right now, and it never was favorable. But what else can you like? If that's the only source to get something from, you just have to deal with it. So we're gonna have to start creating our own sources for stuff for education. He was talking about Black-owned banks. We need all of that in order for us to really be able to make an impact as a culture. We're gonna need that. All right, so God bless y'all. Appreciate you being here again. Listen, I hope you got something from it. Yeah, we just gonna keep this ball moving. God bless you. I gotta end this because I'm doing something right now. I just wanted to, get y'all to hear that. Okay, that was my only point in doing this. So hopefully you got something from it. Like I said, if you wanted to, go and find that interview on the Breakfast Club and listen to it in more detail because it's very informative. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good day.